Okay, I guess this is part two. We got a lot of Blue Zero Hero stories to cover. Today is December 12th, 2021, and the time is 10:54 a.m. Yes, Jersey time. Okay, this is an interesting story. This has to do asset forfeiture. This is reported on kqed.org, dated December 1st. Ex-Rohnert Park cop pleads guilty to conspiracy to commit extortion. There it is. All right, let's find out. I have not read the full story. The former head of the Rohnert Park Public Safety Department drug interdiction team pleaded guilty. Oh, he's the head, no less. Wednesday, the federal charges conspiracy to commit extortion under color of law, falsifying records in a federal investigation, and tax evasion. Ex-Sergeant Brendan J.C. Tatum and his former partner Joseph Huffaker both were indicted by a federal grand jury in September for their role in an unlawful marijuana and asset seizure scheme uncovered by KQED in 2018. Tatum stood straight back in a dark navy suit in the wood-paneled federal courtroom in San Francisco before Judge Maxine Chesney. She methodically went over the 3 counts of indictment and then asked Tatum how he pleaded. "Guilty, Your Honor," he said. Tatum declined to publicly comment at the Wednesday's hearing, but about an hour after the court hearing, his lawyer, Stuart Hanlon, emailed KQED about Tatum's plea. "My client pleaded guilty to all charges he is facing because he, in fact, is guilty, and he's going to make a deal with the prosecutors and never spend a day in jail." Hanlon said he realized he has made huge mistakes because he got caught, and now he has to say things like that so that people will feel sorry for him and that there will be serious consequences for him. Not really, but we have to say that anyway. He is ready to face these consequences. We understand that maybe he's going to have to stay home and eat cereal for a year. No, I'm just adding that in there. The first step is to admit what he had done. Well, admit all of it? Today, he is sorry for what he has done. Does not come close to expressing his regret and shame. Yeah, because he got caught and now he's up the creek without a paddle, so to speak. To say he's sorry for what he's done does not come close to expressing his regret and shame. Hanlon added he knows he will go to prison and he will have to wash somebody's socks and fold clothes, and he'll have to be careful about dropping the soap down, and he knows that he's going to have to pay the guards off so he can stay in solitary confinement because he won't be safe. But that time will end, and he will begin in the next part of his life. He does not intend to let his criminal acts define who he is, but we all know his profession and his criminal activity defines who he is. He's a lying piece of shit. That's what he is. He's a crook. Zeke Flatten, a Texas-based man who was the first person to come forward with the allegations that he was robbed by police officers posing as ATF, sat watching this unfold in the courtroom. After Wednesday's hearing, Flatten said Tatum's guilty plea marks the beginning of the end of the years-long case, so it begins the beginning of the civil cases, too. "It was amazing to hear him plead guilty," Flatten said. "I think it's kind of just solidified everything." Well, the reasons he's doing all that, in my opinion, is the lawyers have made a backroom deal with the prosecutors, and he's going to, he's going to have to suck it all up in order to get a nicer sentence. Huffaker, who has so far pleaded not guilty to all the charges. His lawyers declined to comment on what Tatum's admission of guilt means for their client. So, if Tatum pleads guilty, that means whatever he did was true, factual. So, that doesn't work out good for Huffaker. So, I didn't read this far, so I'd be willing to bet that this other cop's going to get a little special deal, and he's probably going to testify against Huffaker. The blue line of bullshit goes out the door the minute they're looking at jail or they're looking to lose their pension. They will throw each other on a bus. More than 3 years ago, KQED, in partnership with the North Coast Journal and independent journalist Kim Kemp, first reported allegations from a string of motorists who said that Rohnert Park police officers improperly seized cash and marijuana from them during traffic stops along the border of Mendocino and Sonoma counties, 40 miles north of the small suburban town of Rohnert Park. Tatum was in charge of Rohnert Park's drug interdiction and asset forfeiture efforts between 2013 and 2018. The team led by Tatum seized around $3.6 million from motorists. See, folks, they seize this money, you never get it back, because if they take $2,000 of your money, you're going to try to hire a lawyer. It's going to cost you more to fight the thing. So people just walk away from it. This forfeiture thing is bullshit as far as I'm concerned, especially with pot. It's bullshit. Why should they be entitled to anything unless they can prove your car or something was bought with drug money? It's bullshit. There's $6 million for motors on the civil asset forfeiture provisions that allow law enforcement to take cash they suspect. They don't even have proof. It's connected to criminal activity. Much of that money was turned over to his department. Tatum's team also seized at least 2.5 tons of marijuana during the time. Wow. According to documents obtained and analyzed by KQED in 2015, Tatum was publicly recognized by the city for his... Oh, yeah, another bad cop with awards. This is why I say these awards mean nothing. It's nothing. However, after Motors came forward claiming that the cannabis seized by Rohnert Park officer was being transferred illegally, KQED found that destruction orders for hundreds of pounds of marijuana were missing. Tatum also had a history of dishonesty. Well, if he had a history of dishonesty, why is he in charge of anything? And was found by a federal jury in 2018 who have violated a couple's constitutional rights during a warrantless search. And I'm sure that lawsuit didn't cost him 1 penny. Tatum has now pleaded guilty to using his authority as a police officer to extort people he pulled over. The indictment also alleges the two were reselling the marijuana they seized. The indictment detailed $400,000 in cash deposits by Tatum's family members that were never reported to the IRS. Again, I said this in another video. If you're going to get money like that, under the table money, you don't put it in your bank account. You go down to Home Depot or Staples or whatever store. You can go down to, Tractor Supply has these things too. You get yourself a safe, you bring it home. If you got a basement, you bolt it to the floor and you put the money in there. Or you go to the bank and get yourself a safety deposit box and put it there. So he should be charged with stupidness. Tatum has now pleaded guilty using his authority as a police officer to extort people he pulled over. Well, they do that on a daily basis, extorting money from people. It's just that he took some of the money for himself. That's how he got in trouble. If he took the money and gave it to the government, he'd be a hero. The indictment also alleges the two were reselling the marijuana they seized. The indictment detailed $400,000 in cash deposits by Tatum's family members. These cops, in my opinion, you should send them to jail for 10 years. How's that? And no, I don't know how much time they got on the job there, but no pension, no nothing. In September email, Huffaker's attorney, Heather Phillips, said that she looked forward to defending him so that the entire story can be revealed and Mr. Huffaker's name can be cleared. Well, I suspect they're going to blame it all on the other guy, and that he's probably the underdog, and he just went along with it because he was in fear of his job. However, with Tatum's pleading guilty, pressure on Huffaker will mount. Early this month, prosecutors shared more discovery documents with Huffaker and his legal team and indicated that they might be adding more charges to his case. His next court date appearance is December 15. A spokesman for the Department of Justice said they could not comment on the case until after sentencing. Judge Chesney ordered Tatum to return for sentencing on March 9th. Flatten said he hopes that Tatum's cooperation means anyone else who will be involved in the illegal scheme will be brought to justice. In June 2018, Tatum left the Rohnert Park Public Safety Department. Over the next 3 months, the police chief and a sergeant who supervised Tatum both retired. Yeah, it's like dominoes. I got a feeling everything's dirty over there. They're all very dirty. Huffaker left the department early 2019 on the conditions of the settlement agreement he reached with the city. Last year, the city of Rohnert Park paid out over $1.8 million to settle a lawsuit with 8 plaintiffs who claimed hundreds of pounds of marijuana and $55,000 was unlawfully seized during the traffic stops. Another lawsuit filed against Mendocino County in connection with the case is ongoing. You know, people, this goes on across America with these bad cops, and then they cost taxpayers millions and millions of dollars. And these cops, they all wonder why that people are not happy with them and that the shit is on them, and they're in overdrive on their Facebook pages with their cop propaganda trying to promote themselves. But the truth be said, you know, it doesn't take long. You just sit back, watch my channel. I've been watching these news reports for a couple months now, and I see the patterns, and I see what goes on. There's a story almost every day that comes out across America. Gotta go. Got a phone call. This is reported on WCSJnews.com. It's dated December 3rd, 2021. And it reads as follows: former Cook County cop indicted in international drug smuggling conspiracy. Excuse me, folks. Getting dry here from talking. There it is. All right, well, let's find out what this hero's been up to. A man has been indicted in an international drug trafficking conspiracy case in Will County. Attorney General Kwame Raoul this week announced charges against a former police officer of the Cook County Sheriff's Office for his alleged involvement in trafficking cocaine from Mexico to Illinois. Juan Camarno, 46, of Burr Ridge, Illinois, was charged with calculated criminal drug conspiracy, controlled substance trafficking, and possession of a controlled substance with intent to deliver, and possession of a controlled substance. The case is pending in Will County Circuit Court, and the convicted, Carmona faces up to 30 to 120 years in prison. Carmona's bond has been set at $1 million. Wow. And his next court date is December 10th. According to Raul's indictment in 2019, Homeland Security investigations discovered Carmona's alleged involvement in an international cocaine trafficking operation in July 2019. HSI agents recovered over 16 kilograms of cocaine from 2 Illinois residents Carmona owned. Carmona allegedly told agents the cocaine was from Mexico and admitted to being part of an operation that trafficked cocaine into Illinois. Well, he should be charged with stupidness for even admitting anything. This story is reported on News4SanAntonio.com. It is dated December 2nd, 2021. And I gotta tell you, folks, no Blue Zero Hero Stories is complete without a child porn story. And we got one for you right now, people. This reads, former school cop sentenced to 15 years in prison for producing child porn. There he is. Well, they love that child porn, don't they, people? I keep saying, with all the free legal porn out there, sites that you can go to get your nut off, why are you getting this kind of nonsense? It's only going to put you in jail. So it looks like this idiot here, this predator, is going to spend a lot of time, he's going to spend some time in jail and ruin his whole life over his little head needing some gratification. Ricardo, hold on a second. This is out of Texas. A former Church School police officer has been sentenced to 15 years in prison for allegedly recording a teenage girl while she showered and changed in the bathroom. Look at this asshole. What is he sitting, peeking around the corner in the gym? Ricardo Altman, 44, was investigated by Texas Rangers back in January 17th at his home in Converse for charges relating to the alleged invasive video recording. See, this is where cell phones and cameras are getting idiots in trouble, because it's too easy now to do it. The old days, you had to get an instamatic camera and get the shit developed. It just wouldn't happen. So I'm sure this contributes to the higher rates of child porn charges going around. According to court records, Allman installed not even that. It installed cameras inside the Converse home using wiring from inside the home's attic. Wow, so he did this at home? A relative of the victim found the photos and videos stored on an external hard drive in Allman Shirt's police patrol vehicle. Wow, what an idiot. What a stupid idiot. So it sounds to me like another officer found it, threw it in the computer to see what was on it and what it belonged to, and there it was. So at least we got one good officer to turn them in. Allman now faces 15 years in prison for producing child pornography. And that's all they write about that. So there you go. Another cop out protecting and serving the government and risking our lives and our children's lives. Hopefully he will go to the pokey for a long time, and we want to see his ugly face again. And by the way, where's the outrage from the law enforcement community? Where's the outrage from the bootleggers? I bet you there won't be one comment in this story here of some bootlegger or a cop saying, "No, this is not us. We don't subscribe to that." But you never will hear anything. They don't say nothing, and saying nothing is the same as condoning it. All right, this is a follow-up on a Blue Zero hero, and this Blue Zero hero resides in New Jersey. As reported in the NYDailyNews.com, came out on December 1st, 2021, reads as follows: NYPD sergeant sentenced to 2 months in prison for lying about work sifting through ground zero debris. And there's the story right there. I did the original story about this whenever it took place. All right, let's find out what happened to this hero. A former NYPD sergeant was sentenced to 2 months in prison Wednesday for her years-long attempt to receive 9/11 health benefits by falsifying, claiming she did dangerous work sifting through toxic ground zero debris. Sally Spinoza, 56, mocked the victims of the 9/11 attacks through her false application. I believe she lived in Freehold, Freehold, New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to go back and see if I can find the original video, and I'll put the link in there for you. Judge Paul Engelmayer said the sergeant who retired from NYPD in July 2019 claimed on official paperwork for the 9/11 Trade Center health. You know, if she did this while she was an officer, she should lose her pension if she has one. Program and 9/11 Victim Compensation Fund that she had worked at the Fresh Kills landfill in Staten. That Fresh Kills is like one of the largest landfills around. Staten Island for 62 days, straight from September 20th, 2001 to November 2001. Let me see. She retired in. Hold on, people. Let me script back here. She retired in 2019, so she did this while she's on the job. She should be officially fired and lose her pension. But don't hold your breath waiting for that to happen, huh, folks? We know how that goes. We know how that blue line of bullshit goes. In reality, Spinoza was on parental leave or doing very limited work because she was pregnant. Police records show Spinoza was on limited duty starting weeks before the Trade Center attacks until Christmas 2001. The shameless ex-sergeant's repeated applications to the benefits program over the course of nearly 10 years were denied. Undeterred, she joined lawsuits over the 9/11 attacks and received $54,000 money she was ordered to pay back as part of her sentence. Your crime is very trouble. I don't get it. She's a sergeant at NYPD. No doubt she's making six figures. Why you got to risk that? Your crime is stupidness. Again, that charge is stupid. Your crime is very troublesome, the Engelmayer said, adding that Spinoza used 9/11 as an opportunity for personal enrichment. Your conduct mocked the victims on that day. Fresh Kills served as a forensic site of the attacks on the World Trade Center. Some 1.8 million tons of Twin Towers debris were dumped at the landfill where workers sifted through the rubble for human remains and other evidence. The toxic material has caused elevated rates of cancer among people who live near the worked at the site. Spinoza, who worked in Staten Island's investigation, claimed she suffered from asthma and chronic sinusitis due to her work at the landfill. She made numerous false claims to the programs from 2008 to 2017. Don't you think that you would have doctors' reports where the doctor said, yeah, you got this, you got that, and that's where it possibly could have come from. Oh, the crocodile tearful ex-cop admitted her wrongdoing in court, saying, I wholeheartedly apologize because I got caught and now I have to play the game so that show remorse so that I don't get sent to jail longer than I want to go. I know I made a huge mistake because I got caught now. She said before breaking down, I can assure you, you'll never see me in court again in court. No, of course not. You'll be in jail for a little while and then you'll be on probation. My arrest has scarred and tarnished my reputation. My sons, the mother of two, said the life is never forever. No mention about whether she has a husband or father of these children. Though Engelmeyer thanks Spinoza for her 33 years of spotless service. What do you mean spotless? You mean didn't get caught? Her 33 years of not getting caught doing anything wrong service for the NYPD. Wow, 33 years. So she definitely had a pension, but I'd say take the pension away from her. He said that it was necessary to give her a brief stint in prison to deter others from cheating the programs. You were dogged, indeed persistent in going after money to which you weren't entitled. Spinoza will serve home detention for 4 months after her release from prison. Is that really a detention? That's like your parents sending you to your room. Well, your room has all your stuff in it, right? My client served the city honorably. Oh, bullshit. We don't want to forget that. Well, it doesn't matter. You know what? You can do 1,000 attaboys. And all it takes is one old shit to screw it all up and erase it. In a coincidence, Spinoza's ex-boyfriend, Sergeant Vincent Gaeta, retired from NYPD after it emerged he was living in New Jersey, violating the department's residency requirements. The news reported this week, Gaeta bought a residence in Freehold, New Jersey with Spinoza in 2011. Records show Spinoza then sold her share of the property to Gaeta in 2017. Source says Spinoza's federal case and Gaeta's loss of 60 vacation days before retirement were unrelated. So, she lived with this guy. She's got 2 sons. What's going on? She was pregnant, and it appears unbelievable. This is what's raising children, people. And this is what's out there supposedly protecting us, right? To that. This story here, Fox13now.com reads, and this came out on December 2nd, 2021. Unified police officer charged with being high on fentanyl while on duty. Wow, how about that, huh? Imagine that, you call the police, hey, I need help, come help me, protect me, and this idiot shows up. Or better yet, you get pulled over by him, and you got heroin on you, and he's going to arrest you for heroin. A unified police officer was charged Thursday with being high on fentanyl while on duty. Jared Brooks Carden, 49, was charged on multiple counts following an incident in which he crashed his patrol vehicle on Interstate 50 in Salt Lake City on June 12. Well, if he was high on fentanyl, shouldn't he be responsible for the damages of that vehicle? According to charging documents, a witness told the Utah Highway Patrol they saw a unified police SUV strike a highway barrier on the right side of the road, then cross over and crash into the left wall of the HOV lane. After finding Carden unconscious behind the wheel of the SUV, a paramedic treated the officer with Narcan to resuscitate him before he was transported to the hospital. Thank goodness he did not hit anybody. The search of Carden's vehicle found a small bag with 26 pills that were identified as Oxycontin, hydrochloride. A toxicology test of Carden's blood tested positive for fentanyl. So he's doing fentanyl and everything else. Carden, a sergeant who resigned in August because he got caught and doesn't want to lose his pension, was charged with carrying a dangerous weapon under the influence of drugs, driving under the influence, possession or use of controlled substance, and possession or use of a firearm by a restricted person. Before joining the Unified Department, Carden served 9 years with the West Valley City Police, resigning from the department in 2012 after he was charged with reckless endangerment for shooting at a fleeing motorist. Wait a second. So he resigned because he knows he's going to get fired, and he was shooting at a fleeing motorist, and he gets hired again? Who signed off on this idiot? Because that idiot who signed off on him should be charged too. Should be fired. Cops have to be held to a higher standard. That means no bullshit, no drunking driving, no beating anybody up, no bullshit. Immaculate, clean record. More blue line bullshit. All right, this is reported on CBS12.com, and it came out on December 3rd. And as I said, you know, no Blue Zero Hero story reports are complete without some kind of child porn or sexual predator story, because there's one every day coming out just about. This one says a TC police officer arrested for sexual misconduct with a minor was investigated before. Excuse me, there it is. All right, let's find out what he did. And this is out of Florida, Seawolves Point, Florida. CBS 12 News has uncovered new details in the case of a Treasure Coast police officer arrested for sexually preying on a teenager. Let's see, is that teenager 15 years old? Because you know they got taste buds for 15-year-old girls. Last month, Juan Garcia was the subject of a criminal investigation by the Martin County Sheriff's Office regarding alleged sexual misconduct with a 15. Now, folks, I swear to goodness, I did not read this story. I just threw that out there simply because I know that this is the crap. This, you know, you just learn after a while what it is that they're doing. And I'm sure you're starting to realize it yourself. According to officials, Garcia was sending sexually explicit text messages and soliciting nude photos from the teen. See, again, not too smart. See, you're sending these text messages out. Now there's a record. So that girl goes and snapshots, you know, snapshots it, and she's got it. It's there. How stupid can you be? Well, pretty stupid, obviously. So this idiot here should be charged with stupidness also. And asking for nude photos of a 15-year-old girl. If that girl had sent him nude photos of herself, he would now be in possession of child porn. According to the documents, a 6-year-old boy came forward telling DCF... Oh, hold on a second. An incident report from 2019 shows that Garcia was investigated for similar crimes years ago, so he's got a little reputation going on here. According to documents, a 6-year-old boy came forward telling DCF investigators that Garcia touched him inappropriately while he was in his care. His mother, who had a relationship with Garcia, tells CBS 12 News she was devastated when her son came forward with the allegations against a police officer who she trusted. And I believe that 6-year-old 100%. DCF investigated the 2019 and turned the case over to the Martin County Sheriff's Office, but investigators found the claim was not credible. Well, what are you going to do? It's a 6-year-old boy's word against, a hero. I wonder how many awards he's got, folks. Now, Seawolves Point PD tells CBS 12 News they have requested supplemental reports from the MCSO about the 2019 case. Garcia is facing 4 counts of solicitation of a minor and 1 count of traveling to meet a minor as a result of the 2021 incident. He is still on unpaid administrative leave from his job at the police department, which is not good because when they're unpaid, that means they're on the way out the door. This story here is reported in the DenverPost.com, and it's dated December 2nd. And this is another situation where a cop's bad behavior cost somebody their lives and cost the taxpayers a lot of money. All right, the story reads as follows. Callous lack of humanity. Denver police officer fired for not giving first aid to bleeding gunshot victim who died. Ooh, excuse me. Here, hold on a second. There's the story right here. Take a good look. All right, let's find out. I didn't read the full story. A Denver police officer failed to provide first aid to a teenage gunshot victim for more than 10 minutes last year while the 18-year-old bled onto the pavement and pleaded for help before he died. How sad is that? You got a young man, 18-year-old man down there who's got his whole life ahead of him. He's been shot. and he's bleeding out, and you're standing there watching him die. How sick and twisted can you be? How callous is the word, but lack of empathy. And I keep saying this all the time, people. Empathy is not a treasured quality in law enforcement. They have to have no empathy, because empathy works against what they do. And to stand there and watch somebody die, bleed out, when you have the power to maybe change the course of that person's life, and you do nothing as a human, regardless of whether he's a cop or not, but as a human, any human with empathy would see a person distressed like that and try to do the best they can to help them. But this cop didn't. He stood there and watched. So let's find out if I'm correct. Bled on the pavement, pleaded help before he died. Internal investigation found the officer Dwayne Rogers was fired November 22nd in connection with the September 7th, 2020 incident after another officer, David Clough, arrived at the scene at the same time and also did not provide first aid, but Clough resigned before the disciplinary investigation finished. Well, they got to bring up, I know I've done stories where a cop stands by and watches another cop misbehave, and the cop that stood by got charged. So there really needs to start being a nationwide thing where if you are an officer and you show up and another officer is acting inappropriately, or in this case doesn't administer first aid, and you stand by and willfully and purposely do not do anything about it to intervene, that you should be brought up on charges, and those charges would be an automatic dismissal from your job, fired. That's one of the things that has to go on, because that's another way we're going to stop these bad cops, is to hold the do-nothing good cops accountable when they do nothing. Robinson, but climbed it. The disciplinary letter explaining Rogers' dismissal obtained by the Denver Post through a public records request does not name the victim, but coroner reports lists Jelonte Jones, 18, as the man who died in a shooting on September 7th. It's unknown whether Jones would have lived had Rogers, a 16-year veteran of the force, given first aid. The letter does not state whether Jones died at the scene, but indicates he stopped breathing before paramedics arrived. Mary Dulacki, the Denver Department of Public Safety Chief Deputy Executive Director, wrote in a disciplinary letter that it would be reasonable to assume Jones would have been alive when paramedics arrived had Rogers acted. Whether you've been alive or not, the point is you did nothing to help that young man. And let me guess, this is a white cop, and he looked down and he probably said, fuck that black guy, that black kid. I don't know if the kid's black, but I'm going to assume he is based on his name, okay? You just stood there and probably said, fuck that nigger, I don't care, let him die. I bet that was the attitude, wasn't it? At no time did Officer Rogers crouch down near the victim. Dulacki wrote, at no time... By the way, I'm just speculating. That's just alleged. It's not. I don't know if that to be held truthful or not. At no time did Officer Rogers touch the victim. At no time did Officer Rogers offer words of comfort. The callous lack of humanity that Officer Rogers displayed is best exemplified by his response to the victim saying, "Oh my God, help me!" When Officer Rogers replied, "Do you live in this complex?" Now let me tell you a story. This is a personal story of mine. I rented an apartment over a liquor store. The landlord was the owner of the liquor store. He was robbed, shot, and he died. And when I saw the assailants leave, they took off, the cop showed up, I ran downstairs with the cop, I went in there, and my landlord, who I was friends with, was behind the counter on the ground. He had taken 2 bullets, and he was bleeding out. He was dying. And I didn't see the blood, but he was dying. You know that, I can't describe the look of death, but there's a look in a person's eye. And I was helpless to do anything, and I knew that they had called, they got the paramedics, everything on the way, but I basically held Jay. I held him up a little bit, and I said, "Jay, hold on. Don't go, don't leave me, just hold on. Paramedics are coming, we're going to get you help." And I just kept talking to him and doing my best, because I know that when people go into that state, that maybe consciously they can't see, but they may still be able to hear. And that's the best I could do for him. And then the officer was on the radio calling the paramedics. And then at that point, other officers arrived, and I got out of the mess. And if you don't believe me about that story, Go Google 2009 Union County Roselle Liquor Store, Skylark Liquors, robbed, owner shot and killed. And you'll find it. It was the first murder of 2009 Union County, New Jersey. Anyway, so point being is that though I didn't see any blood, but anyway, he got shot twice. So, but anyway, I did the best I could do to try to keep this man alive, who eventually he died at the hospital. The Denver Police Department said in a statement Thursday that the department opened an internal investigation in the early stages of the homicide investigation after officers had concerns about Rogers' failure to render aid. Denver Police Chief Paul Payson recommended Rogers be fired, which DeLackey affirmed. The internal investigation was overseen by the Office of Independent Monitor. The department said Rogers and Clow were responded to a report of shots fired at an apartment complex and found a man lying on his back in the parking lot, bleeding from his lower body. Rogers approached the man and requested an ambulance over the radio while Clow started stringing crying. Oh my God. The guys, what is wrong with them? What is wrong with them as human beings? And these are the people that these bootlicking, blue dick sucking, cop apologists, people will make excuses for and will stand up for them no matter what. On the report from the night of the incident, Rogers wrote that the victim's pants were so bloody that he couldn't tell which leg was injured. Well, you could have unbuckled the pants and pulled them down to look to see. That he couldn't tell which leg was injured. Rogers later told investigators that he completed first aid with tourniquet training classes and generally carried a tourniquet on duty, but that he had forgotten it that night. Oh, how about that? Well, there's no way to prove whether he generally carries it with him, is it? You got a belt on you, don't you? You don't have anything you could tie around him? You couldn't take a cloth, I don't know, your shirt, anything, and just slap it on there and try to save the guy? But again, you know what the attitude is. Fuck that nigger. Let him die. They're nothing but trouble anyway, right? You had to respond to the hood. Gunshots fired. Again, I'm just alleging, don't know this to be true. Rogers told investigators he didn't try to find the wound or stop the bleeding because he feared causing more harm to the man. Instead, he decided to talk to the man, try to keep him alert. How are you going to hurt him more? It's not like he fell off out of a tree and you got to move and you got to worry about breaking his neck or causing injury to his spine or something. You did nothing, and that's the problem. Rogers' body camera recorded him speaking with Jones for minutes. He repeatedly asked Jones who shot him. Yeah, see, so the guy's half dying. This is his words of encouragement. Hey, who shot you? Who shot you? I guess that's an important thing, but... And what his name was. Jones did not often respond, but when he did, he really said, I'm dying or I can't breathe. Minutes into their interaction, Rogers asked the victim, are you going to tell me what happened? Do you know what happened? Yeah, I'm shot, you stupid fucking asshole, and I'm dying. Can you help me out here a little bit? To, show some of that training that you get. You're supposed to be a well-trained professional, right? So much for the training. Rogers never informed dispatchers that the man's health was deteriorating. Asked Clow whether he had a tourniquet or requested an officer with a tourniquet come to the scene. Rogers also only asked the victim once where he had been shot. Don't they carry... I know cops have first aid kits in the trunk of their car. What's in the first aid kit? Officer Rogers claimed that he was concerned about aggravating the injury. Cannot excuse the lack of care he demonstrated. Foreseeable outcome of failing to render aid. While death was death, failing to render aid was death, which significantly outweighs any concerns of aggravating an injury, DeLackey wrote. Clow told investigators that he assessed the victim's injury as life-threatening, but assumed Rogers was applying first aid. The day Rogers was fired for his inaction that day in 2020, he was simultaneously fired for not complying with the city's COVID-19 vaccine mandate. Yeah, well, screw that. They could take that mandate and shove it up their ass. Denver police arrested a suspect in Jones' death. Anyway, let's see. And that's that on that story. So, link will be in the description. You can read the full story yourself.